Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and another cook, and this week we're going to do the second of our turkey cooks. This one's actually a new one for me. I've never done a spatchcock turkey before. Today it's feeling like there's going to be a few little obstacles we need to overcome. One, our turkey is a massive 8 kilo turkey from Buchanan's Turkeys. We talked about them in last week's video, but they're a fantastic farm over here that breed high welfare turkeys, and they're great quality turkeys. They're raised the right way. They're all processed on their farms to avoid stress. They're dry plucked and hung in a cold store just to really build that flavour. So they've gone into all that effort from the start to make sure their final birds have the best flavour. I'll leave links in the descriptions for them if you want to check them out and get your turkey ordered. So like I say, it's an 8 kilo turkey. It's pretty big. We're doing it on the Kamado Joe today. So I have the Classic 2, as some of you know. So it'll be interesting to see how that fits on there. I think it'll squeeze in, but we might need to think on our feet a little bit to get it going. Second one is the weather. Weather has been atrocious all day. A little bit better than yesterday, but as per usual in Northern Ireland, we're dealing with the rain a little bit. So we're going to get it sorted. But as I said, this is the first time I've done a spatchcock turkey, so I'm really interested to see what way it goes. I know it's a popular way of doing it. I've just never done it before. So today I'm learning, bringing you along the way. Today we'll learn together. So we've got to prepare the bird. So I'm going to pull you in a bit closer to let you see it. See how we're going to spatchcock it out and the few other little bits of prep we need to do to it. Then it's going on to the grill. Hopefully it's going on to the grill. Let's go. So here is our phenomenal bird from Buchanan's Turkeys. You can tell when a bird's been raised the right way. It has great fat content on it. They're free range birds. They're allowed to go around and just pick at whatever they want to eat, which builds up nice fat underneath the skin. So you can see it even up on the breast here, which tends to be very lean. There is still a little bit in there. So to spatchcock it then, if you've done a chicken before, it's pretty similar, just in a bigger scale. I'm going to flip it over. So spatchcocking is removing this spine all the way down. So we're going to start up here at the parson's nose. I'm using a set of poultry shears today. Pretty heavy duty. I have a knife as well. There'll be little bits we need to nick out. But we're going to start up at this end here. Up one side, apply a bit of pressure. Just cut through with your shears. And we're going to just try and follow down that backbone. Just keep going till you come out the cavity, make the final cut and go all the way through. At that point then, spin it round. It's opened up a little bit here, so it makes it a bit handier to work with. We're going to go down the other side then. With that brings the backbone right out. So again, if you're in turkey gravy, hold on to this. You can definitely boil it down for stock. But that has taken out the backbone and left us now that we can break this apart. You can do this with a knife, but I think shears makes it a little bit easier on something this size. The bones are a little bit harder to break through. It's quite a big bird, so with a knife you can end up breaking the bones, leaving very sharp edges, whereas a set of shears should cut through them a little bit cleaner. As with any spatchcock, we need to flatten out that breastbone so it runs down here. It's quite a heavy bone and pressure alone isn't really going to snap it, so if you go in with your poultry shears and just cut through it, it gives it a little nick that helps to open it out. So once we flip the bird over, it's already lying relatively flat, but we still need to put a bit of pressure here and just snap the rest of that bone. So, as you can see here, with the spine of the bird removed, we've cracked that breastbone, which means the two breasts are sitting pretty flat and the legs are sitting at the same level. There's a little bit more tidying up we can do on the underside. flip it over. So a lot of the videos I've watched, this section of sort of skin tissue here tends to be removed. There's nothing there that you're going to eat, and it'll allow the legs to move a little bit more freely so we can position them on the grill. There's also a bone here we're going to try and remove. So if we just take our knife, follow along the edge of the breast here, you can sort of see the gap between it and the thigh. You can take off that flap of skin. It is no good for nothing, and that sort of frees up the leg a little bit to move. Plus then it's not something we're going to have to carve around later on. With this bone then, I'll move you around a little bit so you can see it. This bone here is sort of the bottom part of this breastbone. So again, slide underneath it with your knife and go up. And then from this side we're going to go follow up towards the ball joint. Just go in around the ball joint and nick it out with your knife, as you would do whenever you're removing the legs on a chicken. So that takes away that big flat piece of bone. One more thing we're not going to have to worry about. So that leaves this nice clean leg meat on this side. I'm going to do the same over here. So remove this flap of skin and this section of bone, and that'll tidy the whole thing up. I'm going to trim a little bit around the neck just to take some of that excess skin off. I don't really need it. But I'm not going to do too much else to this. This will allow us to get seasoning on the inside of it as well as on the outside for sort of the more presentation side. Okay, our bird has been prepped as much as we're going to prep it. You could probably trim at it all day on the underside, but realistically this is all you have to do. We have our legs both sitting free of the breast, which means they'll be easy to remove. There's not as much stuff underneath them. Wings, going to keep on. Plenty of meat on there. The tips have already been removed on these birds, so I don't have to take them off. They will probably cook a little bit faster than everything else, but everyone else should cook at a nice even rate. That's the whole point of spatchcocking. So what we're going to do now is get it seasoned up. So we need to talk about flavours. I've made up my own rub for this one. Don't often make my own rub, so I wanted to give it a go for a turkey. I've never really done kind of like a barbecue inspired turkey, so this is a bit of a barbecue rub. We have salt, pepper, there's a little bit of paprika and turmeric in there just to give a bit of colour to the outside of it, but it's mostly savoury flavours. So there's onion, garlic, thyme, rosemary, oregano and a little bit of parsley. There's no heat in there, there's no sugar. We're going savoury flavours on it. Again, if you're doing this for Christmas, you probably don't want sweetness in there. Might work, maybe we'll have to give that a go on the channel sometime. So I'm not treating it like I would do a chicken. This is sticking with mostly savoury flavours. So I'm going to season up the underside first. I will go gloveless on this hand. We'll do clean hand, dirty hand method. So I'm just going to take some, sprinkle it all over. Again, now you've freed up those legs, make sure and separate it out and get the rub in. All the little crevices that are in there, will cook in, give it a nice flavour. Again, you have that big flap of skin out of the way so you can get a bit onto the breast there too. We will tease the skin up on the other side. But that should be enough just to season up the underside of it. I've actually put a glove back on for this bit because I want to get in. Let's see if I spin the cutting board. I want to get in under the skin here and just start to tease it away from the breast a little bit. Just freed it up on that side, spin it around. We can also get up in from here. So that's us access all around to get a bit of flavour in there. Don't detach the skin completely or it will all pull back whenever you're cooking. If it's still sort of attached along that breastbone and out around the edges, it should stay in place nicely. So as far as the binder goes in, we're going to go with a little bit of the Broightergold hickory smoked oil. It's the tiniest drizzle over it, and that's just going to help stick the rub to the skin. I have left this sitting out for a little while just to try and air dry the skin. It's going to help with crisping it up a little bit, but it's not good for getting a rub on there. Fold the legs out over, that gives us good access to the breast. On with some of that rub. Spin the board. Get a bit of rub. Underneath the skin there too. Could be a tight enough squeeze on the KJ. Okay, the rest of our rub then, just over the skin. So that's that pretty well seasoned all over. I'll just dust the last little piece on top. Now we're going to let that sit, chill out for a little while, let that rub tack up to the surface. We're going to get the barbecue fired up. So that's KJ size, I think. So we're aiming for a temperature of around 160 degrees Celsius. We've got a fire lit down below, and then the diffuser plate set on the highest level, and the cooking grates in there. Once this temperature has stabilized, we're going to throw this on. I would imagine the temperature will take a little bit of a dip whenever we first put it on. This is a huge chunk of meat. I have left it out to sort of start to bring it up to room temperature, but it's still pretty cold. So once we throw it on, it might dip a little bit, but it should recover pretty fast. That's the good thing about ceramics. So we'll get the barbecue up to temperature, then we'll have a go at fitting this on. Okay, Kamado Joe sitting pretty steady around 170-ish. Happy enough for that, so we're going to keep it there. As I said, it's going to dip a little bit as soon as we put this on. Big cold chunk of meat going on there is going to absorb a lot of heat, but the ceramic will fight against that. Had a measure, it's going to be a tight fit, but I think we can make it work. So we'll pop open, try and get it on, I suppose. I believe that is what you call a perfect fit. There's literally not a centimetre between the legs, the thighs, the wings. Perfection. Now, all I do, close the lid down. I'm so glad that went on. Let it do its thing. Keep an eye on the temperature. Once it recovers after that initial dip, should be fine. We're going to come back and check on it maybe in an hour's time or so. We're cooking it bone side down, so it's spatchcocked out, breasts up. Should cook pretty even all over, but we'll check that again in an hour's time, see what kind of colour it's taking on, if it needs to be adjusted around. But other than that, let's kind of set it and forget it. We'll just leave the Kamado Joe to do its thing, and then we'll keep a little eye on it, and we'll come back then, see how we've got on. I'm quite excited about how this is. I'm so glad it fit it on. It looks like a nice way to cook it. Spatchcock chicken is unreal, so I don't see why turkey would be any different. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, we've been about 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2 hours and a half-ish. Had a little probe at it. It's doing pretty well on that side. This breast seems to be a little bit behind. We're definitely good in the legs. We're in the 80s with them, so they are pretty much there. We have a couple of degrees to go on this breast, and we're about 4 or 5 in this one. So what I'm going to do is actually spin it around. We seem to have a little bit more heat on this side of the barbecue, so I'm going to attempt to spin it around. Looks phenomenal. Great colour on it. Again, I didn't go smoke on this, just lumpwood charcoal. Still feels nice and juicy. Skin has crisped up pretty well. We haven't gone overly hot on this. Like I say, we've been around 160, 170-ish most of the time. But I'm going to close it down now, let it finish off. Then we're going to lift it off, rest it for a little while, and then carve up. Okay, our bird has been resting for 25-30 minutes. Smells incredible, looks pretty incredible. As I say, first spatchcock turkey. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, how evenly it would cook, but definitely compared to roasting it the traditional method, this was a much more simple cook. Rotisserie, well, I haven't tasted this yet. I know what the rotisserie one was like. It was tasty, but the proof is in the eating. So I'm going to go ahead first and take the legs off. Because we done that little bit of trimming first, the only thing really holding them on is the skin, so it's easy enough to take them off. Set them on. And what do I go for? Do I take a bit of the breast first? Yeah, I think we probably should. We can just carve it off here. Take off a little slice or two here. Still nice and hot inside. Still nice and juicy. It's not overdone to the point where it's falling apart. You don't want it to be pulled because then there's no moisture left in it. Have a nice bite of that skin. You can see the flavouring and stuff still in there. There's still a little layer of fat under the skin as well. I say that's the good thing about these birds that are aged properly or grown properly. Plenty of fat content in there. Let's go. Damn. The barbecue inspired chicken is the way forward. Chicken, it's not chicken, turkey. So the breast has stayed nice and moist. No butter in this one. You could put herb butter from the rotisserie chicken underneath the skin and baste it that way, but spatchcocking it out cooks a little bit faster. There's no need. That skin is so nice. So I think we need a bit of leg meat now. Let's slide that off to the side. Bring these over, take off a little section of dark meat. Again, a little bit of pink smoke ring. This is super juicy. Oh yes. Much deeper flavour in the legs than the breast. So, if you want to give this method a try, we now know that the KJ can fit an 8 kilo turkey on it. I'll leave a link in the description for the recipe for the rub and the method and sort of a brief rundown of how the cook went. I'll also leave a link in the description for the rotisserie turkey if you want to give that a try. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys in the next video.